As innocent as Peppa Pig may look or seem, or realistically actually is, there are still some things the producers wouldn't want you to see or even to know. Going to be heading straight to the point, here are some of the hidden secrets on the show that you most likely haven't noticed. To start with, the show has been running for 20 years now, after 8 seasons and well over 300 episodes in all the seasons. Being a very successful show, there are still some questions that some very observant viewers still have no answers to up until now. We all know that the Peppa Pig family consists of Mommy Pig, Daddy Pig, Peppa, and little bro George. But then who is the 5th pig in the computer wallpaper that was released a few years ago? This particular detail has raised so many questions, and some even speculated to have a kind of dark twist to it. When you look closely at the ground floor window, the appearance of what looks like a 3rd piglet seems somewhat freaky. To date, the creators haven't really explained the significance of that 5th family member, or should we expect the very nice and friendly show to take a dark turn in the near future? Questions like, is she trapped? Is she a ghost in the show? Or are we seeing an integration of the 3 little pigs on there? And so many what-ifs arising from this zone. Guess we're really going to find out soon enough, because I myself am not going to be cool about it. I'm getting quite spooked by the fact that I can't understand that. One very interesting and intrusive fact in the Peppa Pig cartoon is the fact that the parents in the series are usually the same animal, just like we have Papa Pig and Mama Pig. And also we have Mama Rabbit and Papa Rabbit. But this is where it gets super creepy and maybe too intrusive on my part. If you were following the show from the time past, watching the Pink Piglet cartoon, you would see that the parents of Peppa and her friends were all attending the same school per the show, where they grew up and got together as pairs and eventually got married and had their kids, meaning that there was more than one character of each species in the school. But here, in this stage of the series, we see that there is only one character of a species of animal per age group, unlike the time past where they had several. I mean, if Mama and Papa Pig didn't study together, there probably would have been no Peppa. In the episode In the Future, when Peppa and Susie go to sleep in Susie's house and they started thinking about the future, they stated that they would get married to their classmate Pedro Pony and Danny Dog. This raises a kind of hairy eyebrow to state. Is it possible that in the future series of the show, we're going to have crossbreeds between several species, like Peppa and Danny Dog, alongside Susie and Pedro Pony? Well, we'll just have to wait and find out, unless they're looking to bring in new characters into the show, which has not happened in a very long while. In real life, we all know of, or if we didn't know, I would like to educate us a little, rabbits really love producing a lot of offspring. I mean, a literal lot. From what we know, all the rabbits in your country might just be related to one another. So then, does it relate to the fact that a rabbit in the show has a twin sister? You didn't know that, did you? While they didn't state that, it would be ridiculously easy to point out that these two were siblings and obviously not the same person, as some people initially thought that they were the same people, Mrs. Rabbit and Mommy Rabbit, with some thinking that Mrs. Rabbit is Rebecca's mother. Now let me break it down for you. It took a while, but then it was later revealed that Mommy Rabbit was pregnant and they went to the hospital for the delivery. Could you guess who delivered the baby? It was Mrs. Rabbit. Yes, Mrs. Rabbit. Mrs. Rabbit was a nurse who worked in the hospital and was also the nurse who delivered the twins, bringing Rebecca's siblings to a total of 4. But then this begs the question, how many rabbit siblings are there? While Mrs. Rabbit and Mommy Rabbit are identical in looks, their counterparts in other countries look the same, to the point that Peppa would have probably called out Mommy Rabbit at a point in time. As if that was enough, when they went on a trip to Hollywood as they found the golden ticket, Peppa and her family, the plane that transported them there was flown by, well, yes, a rabbit. And also the taxi driver was also, you know it, a rabbit. Not stopping there, the elevator attendant too was a lion. Now I'm kidding, yes, a rabbit again, with every single one of them looking exactly like Mommy Rabbit back home. But even with that, it doesn't change the name of the show from Peppa Pig to Planet Rabbit, am I right? Is Madame Gazelle a vampire? Now that's a shocking one, isn't it? Some of you might be like, but she walks in the sun and all of that. Then you should definitely check out the originals or Vampire Diaries, as these vampires could be able to defy their nature and walk under the sun once they had their daylight ring on. So back to Madame Gazelle. This episode was called Pumpkin Party as they were celebrating Halloween. In this episode, while Susie was standing with Madame Gazelle in front of a mirror, we could evidently see Susie's reflection, but none of Madame Gazelle's. Reflections of vampires don't show in the mirror, you know that. And also, the narrator spotted that and he mentioned it. Even when Susie tried out a vampire costume, she commended it, saying that the costume was lovely and it reminded her of the old days. Do I smell an original here? Also, in the other episode, Madame Gazelle's house, while there was a very tall tree at the back of the house, an exterminator said he wanted to check the tree if there was any living thing there before attempting to cut it down. Guess the animals he saw there? Bats. We all know the significance of bats to humans. She went on to state that she doesn't want the tree cut down, that the bats are her friends. Plus, she's had the tree in her house since it was a very little tree. Mind you, the tree is taller than Madame Gazelle's house, and having that tree since she was little would only imply that she's an immortal being, as she even looks way younger than she's supposed to look, in a way. This revelation just made the entire franchise dark and somewhat scary. Probably it started all good, but now we're in for a lot of fright. The producers of the show aren't telling us something though. We all know that Peppa is the older sister of George, who's a little bit younger than Peppa. And yeah, obviously, he's younger than her, alright? But then how shocking is it that George happens to be in the same class as Peppa? Plus, even minus that, George seems to be able to do all that Peppa can do and even more. Some suggest that George is an absolute genius and is way top of his class. That's why he was moved to the other class. While some say the opposite, that Peppa is a bit slow of learning, keeping her from leaving her class until George came to meet her there and maybe will even get ahead of her. That would be crazy though, but there's something they're not telling us. The curious cats among us are going to protest soon. We better get answers. While Mama Pig was gifting her computer to Grandma and Grandpa Pig, as they went back to install the system in Grandpa Pig's house, there was a visual of a picture that was taken in black and white, signaling that it was an old picture in Grandpa and Grandma Pig's house. Mind you, they are Mama Pig's parents and not Daddy Pig's, just so you know. So questions about this picture suggest that it's probably just a picture of Mommy Pig and her brother, who we have never seen in the series. But definitely, it's not Peppa and George because that picture depicts something taken a very long time ago. More questions came up when the same picture was found in Daddy Pig's office, making the entire situation so confusing. Who are the people in the picture? And there you have it, some of Peppa Pig's hidden secrets you probably never noticed. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more fun discoveries.